Hey guys, welcome to Team O'Neill. I'm Chris, joined by...
I'm Wyatt.
If you've seen our YouTube channel or been a part of our community in the past, you probably recognize both of us. Hopefully you recognize him a little more than me. But we're here today to do a little bit of live. We wanted to discuss some of the business and some of just our relationship and get a little bit more behind the scenes of things that you guys probably don't know about. But mainly too, we want to answer your guys' questions. So that's really our goal here today, is hopefully get some interaction with you in the community, answer any questions you guys might have. And if we don't have some answers, then we could obviously create some more YouTube content from that. But yeah, our goal here today is just have a little bit of fun, get to talk to you a little bit. And so, yeah, if you could join us in the comments and let us know what you want to know about. One of the things that I thought it would be interesting, why we could talk a little bit about our relationship and just, gosh, it's been 10 years now that we've been working together.
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
to believe.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've been with Team O'Neill for 10 years before that, probably at least.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You're the veteran.
Yeah. One of the few OGs left at Team O'Neill, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
what do you want to know?
for me, for you, you've been there for most of the business, and it's something that you were a lead instructor and for most of that time, and you got a lot of your experience just teaching people every day. And I think you got burnt out a little bit, and that's kind of when I came into the business.
Yep.
And you were looking to do something else. So maybe talk about the YouTube channel itself and how we got to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I started out as the landscaper. Basically, like in high school, I'd get out of school and, 16 years old, I grew up in northern New Hampshire, and come to find out, there's a rally driving school nearby. So I started working for Tim doing different things. And one of those was, I was like cutting the grass, and I was going in on the weekends and like running a chainsaw with Tim and making these trails through the woods, and there's excavators. And the next thing you know, there's a truck jumping through the air and all this stuff. So it was kind of fantasy playground land when you're a kid. And I was like, I need to figure out how to get in here and do this. I went away for a year. I did a year of mechanical engineering and came back. And that's when I started working for Tim full time over the summer at the rally school. Super fantasy land when you're that age of just race cars and Volkswagens and all this other stuff. And said, take a break from engineering school. And never went back. So made my way from driving the water truck through teaching all the different courses that we do and the winter driving stuff. And then I was lead instructor for a while, and I went racing for a while. And it's only because of Team O'Neill and Tim O'Neill went racing and won the national championship in two-wheel drive with a Mazda. Then I went racing. Once I did that, of course, when you're racing and you think, oh, I win the national championship, then there's sponsors. Yeah. Then you hit the promised land. And then there's a lot of depression when that doesn't happen. But I went racing in Canada, I went racing out of Mexico and South America and stuff, and then ran out of money completely at that point. And I've been working with Team O'Neill on and off for a bunch of different years. And when I came back at Team O'Neill around that time, started the YouTube channel, because as an instructor, if you're working at a racing school, that's obviously, it's a very reasonable price point for what it is, but not everybody can come to Team O'Neill. And a lot of that information was hard to find. Like if you're looking to learn about left foot braking and how to trail brake and do pendulum turns, and you go online, there's not a lot of info, and most of it's wrong.
Yeah, especially 10 years ago.
Right. So the YouTube channel was really a good way to get low cost of consumer information out there that was high quality, and it functioned to grow awareness of Team O'Neill, and more people started coming through the school, so it started working out, and it's grown into kind of what it is now. And hey, 175,000 subscribers, so just hit that little benchmark, and thank everybody, you guys all, for being here. And if you've got any questions in the comment section, we can start diving into those too.
Yeah, we got anything.
Oh, the first one, future of the New England Forest Rally.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I guess that's my department. I'm the chairman of the New England Forest Rally. That is a tough question right now in this moment. It's something that there's a ton of excitement for. There's pretty much general consensus that we want to do something. So That's not the problem. The problem is that we actually do need a few more top-end volunteers that are willing to spend the 20 plus hours a week for 20 plus weeks a year. So the retired guys are the guys that are in a position in life that can help out in a large capacity. So I'm actually working on generating those job descriptions right now, and we're going to get those out to the community and see if people are able to raise their hand and fill those roles. So, John Buffum, over 80 years old. Mark Everett has done that for over 30 years. The guys that were doing those jobs just shouldn't be doing it anymore. They're willing to help still and help train the new guy in the new role or girl, whoever we can get to take that responsibility. But along with everything that happened this year, it's just definitely a rebuilding year. So we don't quite know where it's going to land for this season. We might have to take a year off. But the ultimate goal is that New England will exist and have rallies. So
yeah, it seems from the competitor side, a lot of the old guard that organize these rallies and have been doing it for years, you've got a handful of older folks that know it all and do it all, and then a crew of youngsters that go out and make it all happen. But you were saying the Susquehanna Trail Pro Rally too, a lot of the folks are just aging out of it. And I mean, how many volunteers does it take to run a rally?
250.
Yeah.
And a lot
of those are heavily involved.
Yeah. And you got 20 or 30 that are, working 5-10 hours a week, the 4 or 5 weeks before the rally. And then there's 2 or 3 typically that are working 20 plus hours a week for, getting all the rally stages set, having to get all the paperwork done, insurance, safety plans. We want people to be safe, and we want to run a successful rally, and we're obsessed with timing and making everything as perfect to the time as we can. That's kind of the whole point of rally. And so that just takes a lot of admin and preparation when we're out playing in the woods. So yeah, thank you for your support. Thank you for asking the question. So that does keep us motivated to making something happen.
And if you want to volunteer, go to
NewEnglandForestRally.com. We've got all the information there to sign up as a volunteer, or just reach out to Team O'Neill and we'll put you in the right place.
Yeah. And, genuinely, if you do want to volunteer, or if you're part of a car club, or you've got some friends, and it's a really cool way to get out on the stages and see the cars more firsthand. You can work at a start control or a finish control, and, you're reaching out and, touching the cars and stuff. It's the best way to spectate a rally is to volunteer at a rally.
No doubt.
And you can camp out with your buddies and have a good time and get places that you can't go to spectate. A lot of those stages are blocked off. No spectators are really allowed, but you might be out there wearing an orange vest and, doing a little job here and there.
Best way to potentially get 5 minutes with Travis Pastrana or any one of your heroes is, be a volunteer, because you'll be out in the middle of the woods with no one else around. And that's some of the coolest things I've seen.
It's also a really interesting way to get into, if you're interested in competing maybe, or if you're questionable about competing, like, hey, maybe I'll get into this rally thing. The actual driving the rally car is a fairly small part of it compared to start controls and timing and showing up on your minute and time cards and observation controls and main time controls and the whole deal. It's a big puzzle that you're working your way through over the course of the day, and thousands of rallies are won and lost by how well you manage to do that and follow the little rule and turn left at the thing and go over here. And it's a really kind of a cryptic thing in a fun way. So, a rally's kind of like a puzzle, but by volunteering, you're behind the scenes and you see how all of that works, and registration and tech inspection and park expose and park ferme and all of this stuff that if you just know how to drive and you're like, you sign up for a rally, you're going to blow all of it and you get lots of time penalties and
we got a chance,
frustrated.
We got a chance to cover Friday, the rally, one of our spectator crews. We did a video on our channel. So if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, what a volunteer role might be, it's on our YouTube channel right now. So go check that out too.
I got stale fish. If or when do you think ARA will include electric vehicles in stage rally? Do you plan on getting any to prep for the school?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one of those areas that we've talked a lot about. It's that next phase of development and driving. And so from Team O'Neill as a whole, we need to address the electric car performance. We want, if someone wants to know, and there's a race series for electric cars, and we want to have a training program for it. it isn't a top priority in we've got a lot of things that we're working on right now. But we did sign a contract with Canaan Motor Club, and so they actually have charging stations at the club. So we're interested from the pavement racing side of things with electric cars. With ARA specifically and actual rally racing electric cars, the safety infrastructure is the number one concern, and that's the constant conversation we keep having. Local fire departments aren't prepared for the Tesla fire or whatever issue, the electric car fires, or
acid,
and how to manage it in a race car. And there's always fires in race cars, regardless of electric or gas or whatever it is. So we don't have the safety infrastructure in the country to manage it, much less our race series, which isn't a big profitable race series that could afford to have all the safety crews behind it. So it's going to take some effort. Yeah. And it's something that, it's interesting. I've seen a few news reports recently that OEMs are kind of backing away from the full electric and talking hybrid now again. And so I don't know where the marketplace is still with electric cars.
Personally, I remember there was, when Tesla started coming out and people were bugging about rallying them and whatever, I talked to Anders at NASA. And he's like, sure, but it won't finish. And we're like, what? And he's like, well, at a rally, you've got it at the start. You're at the, Park Expose, and then you've got to transit sometimes 50 miles to get to the start of the first stage. You do the first stage, it's 12 race miles, and then you transit and you stage and you transit, and then halfway through the day, you've got a 30-minute service. And he's like, unless you can hot swap in a fully charged battery, you don't have enough time to charge it.
Which they are getting that capacity in.
They are. Maybe now. Yeah. You could pick and choose.
Who's going to be the guy to be the first one?
Yeah. You'd want to make sure you had the range and look at each rally and say, okay, New England Forest Rally has X amount of stage miles and transit miles in the first day. Can we make it and charge it overnight and do it again? And they're better now. But I remember at that point they were talking about, would it be legal to do the transit on a flatbed? Right. You have a flatbed trailer waiting for you at the end of the stage, pull it onto that and charge on your way to the next stage and unload it and, have to jump through these hoops just because of the long distance nature of a rally. I'm sure there are cars that would finish now, but
organizers aren't interested either. Rally organizers, the amount of stuff we have to go through to put on a rally, to add that, we actually talked about this with side-by-sides too, the legality of side-by-sides in New England. You're not allowed to drive them on the road. So could you do a rally stage, have a truck and trailer parked at the end of the stage, go to the next stage? It's just not worth the effort. And
why?
It's just not that exciting for us. So if there's a group of people that are excited about it and want to create it, I'm sure it could exist, but it's probably not going to be us. Yeah, is the reality. But maybe electric cars, maybe someday, maybe when someone else figures out the problems, and they could implement those solutions into our sport. But we're not going to innovate that, I don't think.
Everything 6.7 liter comments. Hey, do you want me to bring my 08 Dodge Ram 3500 Laramie dually 4x4 to rally it around your track?
Well, if he's behind the wheel, yes, for sure.
That sounds like a good time. Yeah.
No, we. I think obviously, if you guys got the chance to see our F450 video, it went well from a social media.
It was a good time.
Analytics standpoint.
Yeah. By far the biggest Instagram thing we ever did, for sure.
So and the 4Runner video that we just did was actually my sister, and she was willing to let us borrow her car. So we are open to people in the community offering their vehicles. You just have to understand, it's in a race setting, and you've never crashed at a Willet Rally yet. But just understand that the risks that might be involved, and that's something that we could discuss. So if you're interested, send us an email, info@Team O'Neill, and we'd love to talk to you and whip around your rig.
Kind of a behind the scenes thing is, all of those cars for Willet Rally are either Team O'Neill's or Team O'Neill employees, or my Corolla, your Jeep, your Bronco. There's a bunch of it's basically just kind of friends and family rental loaner vehicles for that deal. So
but we need more cars, and so if people are into it, we're open to it. We just want to have the real conversation. We don't want to hurt someone else's car, but if you're willing to understand the risks and let us play with it, then we'll be open to it.
Is there any way for Chris to donate his beard to Wyatt since he is lacking some hair?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean,
modern science.
I mean, I'm growing this for the kids, and so we could get go through something like that.
I'll go down to Mexico and get some transplants or something.
Yeah. You got a lot of hair going on right now.
Yeah, you do. You have nice thick hair. Do you have more or less people coming to you with their personal vehicles to train with these days? Are there weird blocks to showing up with a rental? I think most of all of the Team O'Neill courses are with Team O'Neill cars.
Correct. And that's an insurance problem that we have. So part of our insurance requires that if it's your own vehicle, we do like a winter safe program where you can come and we'll train you in your car. But those have to they have to be on our skid pad slalom areas. If you want to go on the race course part or the track, you have to actually have a roll cage and be safety certified to do that. So, like a rental car obviously wouldn't be qualified for that. And if you're doing the winter safe program, the goal is that we're training you in your car how to drive safely on the snow. So that wouldn't achieve that goal if you're in a rental car. So, most people who do our programs are in our cars because they're prepared for it. And also, our courses have full coverage insurance included in the cost. So we don't want you to worry about damage. We actually put it on ourselves and the instructors to not put you so far over your head that you crash. It does happen. It's something that it is rare, but cars do get crashed at Team O'Neill, and we want it to be our problem and not yours. So that's just part of our mantra and the way we've been. And we kind of hate that airline model of pricing. So our prices are one price and you don't have to worry after that.
There is once a year in the summer, we do Rally Fest, which is an event where, it's open to the public and people can come in and there's a lot of different things you can do. And one of those things is we have like a big open gravel area with some cones and there's a rally cross set up. And I think that was by the hour, by the day, you can come out and bring your own car and people do, all kinds of cars show up and you can goof around and, spin out and run cones over. And that's a really good time. It's basically like a rally cross, like an autocross on gravel type of scenario. And that's really fun. Do you do anything in the winter?
We could do more of that. We should talk about that. Yeah, we've been working with
practice days,
the local community to do more rally sprints, gravel trials that are called now. And so there might be an opportunity to do more rally crosses, especially on the snow. That would be a good idea.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
You did that once. We had that open house kind of winter.
Open practice days. Yeah, we did them. That was a lot of fun. It was a good time. Yeah, people could bring out their own vehicles and play around in the snow and ice, get a lot of seat time for not too much money. And it's in the open. It's just cones. But that's nice because you can get in a little over your head and you're not going to hit a tree. It's like, you spin out and there's big fluffy snow banks and that kind of thing. And
we should definitely talk about that. Maybe even at Canaan, if Canaan gets nice and icy. And
the racetrack would be there.
You could do that too.
That would be really good.
All right, good question. We'll think about that.
The big one from Marfan Dema, WRC in America. Why doesn't it happen? And why has nobody tried?
Oh boy.
A lot of people have
how much time and effort do we want to put in this?
So historically though, it did happen.
One time. Yep, in Washington State, and that was the last Group B rally ever.
The Olympus rally in Washington.
Yeah, and so they hosted the last Group B rally in the WRC circuit, and that was the last last round of WRC in America. The drivers are historically known for saying in Europe, all the spectators know all the rally drivers' names. In America, all the rally drivers know all the spectators' names. It just is not popular in this country enough to justify. Now there's been some pressure and excitement to have WRC come to the U.S. Red Bull owns the media side of WRC. And so there's a lot of sponsor dollars there. There's OEM manufacturers, Ford, Toyota, would love to see a WRC round in this country. We are not to the caliber of hosting a WRC event. We don't have the infrastructure, the volunteers, the management. There's steps that you should take to host a round of rally at that level. And it's something that we are working on as a country and finding the location and doing those things. And there's some excitement in Tennessee for something like this, but it's still not there yet. So hopefully someday, but again, just kind of almost like the New England Forest Rally problem we were talking about earlier, enough qualified people to know what they're doing to host an event like that.
Yeah, if it takes 250 people to host a Rally America event.
Yeah, it's like 1,200 people, I think 1,200 qualified volunteers to host a WRC round. And then the hotel room requirement for all the infrastructure is over 5,000 hotel rooms, from what I've heard. Yeah. So you need enough lodging, close enough to WRC level rally gravel roads. And there's actually, the list gets pretty small when you think about the infrastructure needed for a WRC event.
Yeah, it's like hosting a concert versus hosting a global stadium tour of an artist or something like that. It's just the amount of people behind the scenes is wild. You've been to WRC Mexico. I've been down to Mexico. You went to Sweden or Finland?
Finland this year. I've been to GB.
That's cool. Oh wow.
And we created ARA, Tim and I, and a few others, because we wanted to try to look at what it would take to be at that kind of level of an event. And there's a lot of infrastructure and a club system, and there's just all these things that our country hasn't done that those countries that host those events do, so that they have enough volunteers, enough trained people. Our country is just so big, and we're so widespread. It's hard to have a fun culture when no one can be in the same bar Friday night hanging out talking about rally.
Which is really what it's about.
And that's kind of the problem. If we want to have fun doing this, right? No one's getting paid.
Yeah.
So we got to have fun.
No one's getting paid. So there's that. Yeah.
And the culture just quite isn't there in this country right now.
Another big factor, not to spend too long on one question because I see there are some more, but if you're in Rally Great Britain, or if you're in England and you want to learn about WRC, you can go to a handful of WRC level events in Europe.
Yeah.
Where here in the States, you want to go to a WRC event, the closest one is Mexico, which is kind of a bit of an outlier from even how they run the other ones. Mexico is a little bit of the Wild West. No, they're not even on the calendar anymore. No. What's the closest WRC event? Like to train, if you wanted to train some volunteers, like how to do timing at a WRC event, or the medics or the radio control people or whatever, you've got to fly across the Atlantic basically. There's nothing in South America.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So you're going to Europe to learn how to run a WRC event. So it's difficult, and manpower is really the biggest thing. Enough enthusiastic people that are willing to volunteer and put in their time and become educated in how it all works and learn all the different systems and pick a little niche and become good at it. And then obviously the people to organize all of those people.
Right. Guys in Tennessee are starting to work on it, and it's something that there's some bubbling excitement for it in kind of the Tennessee, Kentucky, southern U.S. Part of our country right now. But again, there's some big hurdles to get over to make that happen.
Yeah.
Good question.
Let's see. Stale Fish. There is a 15 to 20 minute EV charging station near the Sunday River service area.
Nice.
But we would need another one at Errol Service for day 2.
Nice. Perfect.
I'm glad you're thinking about it. Yeah.
You're excited, bud. I love it.
Somebody should do it. I mean, I remember too being at Pikes Peak with the electric cars, and it's so funny because, well, it's not funny, but they have to run sirens in them all.
Yeah.
Just so the spectators know that they're coming. So motorsports and electric cars, we're learning more every year, and you're going to need somebody who has electric cars in a racing series and, study all of those things that they do. And they're going to have sirens on them, because if there's spectators out on a stage and going to hide behind a rock or moving around and, somebody in a Tesla Model S comes around the corner and hits somebody, it's going to be all over real quick too. So just for safety. Yeah. But okay. EV charging station at the Sunday River service area. Another one at Errol. You could do it. The thing is, you'd want to find a manufacturer, and I mean, Tesla doesn't need it. So who's a smaller electric car manufacturer who would want to get on board with it?
It's not smaller, but Rivian's excited, but they obviously have bigger rigs.
Yeah, they got the big rigs.
But we've worked with some of them, and they're a fun company, and they'd be more cutting edge. And even honestly, Tesla, as much as they don't need it, they kind of do cutting edge.
They can
stuff.
afford it.
So it could happen someday.
Yeah. Let's see. Delta Orion, you once did an excellent video on SHTF vehicles. Any chance you will continue this series with Alex and Rudy? for when the shiz hits the fan. Yeah.
Could happen.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that.
We haven't, and they've got, decades of downrange experience to speak from on all different kinds of vehicles. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of the problem before was that YouTube doesn't necessarily like some of that content, so we had to be careful about how we commingled with the Ridgeline guys, and we work with them quite a bit.
Who is Ridgeline?
Ridgeline is our sister company that does tactical and firearms training, and we have a lot of contracts and other things that we do for the government and military that they help us with. So they've got great content, and they've got their own series and stuff that they put out, so you guys should go follow them. But we've done some collab work with them on our YouTube channel, and there's always... We actually did have an idea session about one thing that we might be doing this upcoming year, so hopefully that'll come to fruition.
Yeah, Alex and Rudy and Blake. Yeah, I'm always interested in. We do a lot of stuff in pickup trucks and SUVs, kind of non-standard tactical vehicles. So Toyota pickup trucks and little Jeep Wranglers and things like that. I have a lot of fun with the side-by-sides and ATVs and dirt bikes and kind of the smaller vehicles, which everybody knows the military uses to get around places and do different things in the middle of the night and all of that. And they would, Alex and Rudy, the Ridgeline guys, would have some really good input on all of that.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good question. We're working on it.
If we would figure out how to package it so that it doesn't flag us for
shadow band or whatever that is.
Well, we got F450 video. It was a blast to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. That was fun for us to do.
Keep in mind that Wyatt's going to spend half the video trash talking your tires. Vertical disambiguation. Yeah. Well,
if they're not perfect tires for the situation. I mean, if you come to the rally school, that is what we talk about pretty much the whole time is what are your tires and how's that going to affect your performance?
Yeah, they say all season tires suck in all seasons. It's just the one biggest thing that anybody can do to any car to make it way better at whatever you're trying to do is the tires and your tire pressure and just honing in because if you've got grip, you've got grip, and if you don't, you don't. You can certainly work with it. You can do a lot, but
all seasons on a Subaru or snow tires on a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah,
right.
Snow tires on a Fiesta all day.
Anyone that's driven in the snow or ice, and actually has enough experience to know all-wheel drive is not the key. It's about your tires and making sure that you got the right tires for the conditions.
Yeah, we should do. One of the things that we've thought of doing is some actual tire reviews because we do spend a lot of time trash talking tires. I'm guilty of it. You're right. But it would be good to see, hey, different tires and why and what are the types and the directional patterns and some of the technology and the tire compounds and why does it work and, why it doesn't work at 30 PSI, but it does at, 25 maybe. Some little tire reviews and some more tire videos because there's a lot there and it just makes a huge difference.
And there's a lot of comments I saw in the Toyota video that we beat the GR Corolla on time. And for us to describe how icy it was that GR Corolla day, and then it was icy and slick with the Toyota, or the 4Runner, but the tires were a little better for that situation specifically, and it just was one of those things that,
it's one of the things that's so great about the rally school and winter training in particular. If you're trying to learn how to drive, go find a frozen lake and go play on it for as long as you can. Because the less grip you have and the more you're worried about the skills and everything else, but also it looks different and you've got a lot of different kind of levels of grip in different areas all over the place and you kind of get used to honing in on that. But it might probably look the same in the video. Yeah. But that Corolla GR day, you couldn't even walk on it almost. And
I was thinking we might do a third category like pure ice and break out some of those because I think that one and one or two of the other videos we did were totally pure slip. So, we want to keep doing the Will Rally content, and sometimes we just can't choose the day. We've got rally schools going on. We got to fit Wyatt in to go through the course at lunchtime while we have clients there. So it just sometimes the conditions are what they are, and we still go with it because
we have fun with it, and it's the real world, so it is what it is. But, I'll keep trash talking tires, but I'll try and up talk some good tires too to offset it. Alexander Woods. Hey guys, I have a question. I only know automatic. What's the best car to learn to drive a manual for under 5K?
Probably a Toyota Corolla manual.
Yeah. Anything kind of. There's
actually, the older the car, the better probably to learn, because it's going to be a little less forgiving. It's going to be a little harder at first.
Yeah.
If it's older, and then if you get good at that, then a new modern manual is always easier than anything recently.
Yeah. Most of the cars in the last 10 years are pretty easy to drive, and a lot of them have, when you have the clutch in and you're on the brake, and then it'll hold you on a hill so you can release the brake without rolling backwards. And modern cars have some modern systems that make it a lot friendlier. So yeah, an older car, under 5K, I'd always go two-wheel drive. A Fiesta, a BMW 3 Series, anything.
We do actually now have a course. We just started the manual transmission class for anyone. So it's a 2-hour private training day where you can come up, book a day with us.
Burn his clutches.
Burn our clutches out. You'll get you in multiple vehicles with a manual, and you get a chance to walk away a confident manual driver. So that's bookable now on our Team O'Neill page. So if you are want to learn how to drive a manual, we've got a product for you now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but good luck. And we've got a few videos on how to drive a manual. It's really just finding that friction point with the clutch, giving it a little bit of gas as you go. And it seems tricky at first, but just like doing it on a motorcycle or something, find an open area and do it for a few hours, get the seat time and get it down, and you'll have it for life. It's really nothing once you get used to it. So yeah, good luck and have fun with it. Are you familiar with Tier 1 Group's driving course? Yeah, T1G. How does it compare with that of Team O'Neill? And what would the path to become an instructor at a school like yours look like? So that's two very different questions. I'm familiar with T1G's driving course. How does it compare with what Team O'Neill offers? It's a good one.
How do we be humble and answer this question appropriately? I think ultimately for us, our goal is to focus on driver development in every vehicle type. And so that's probably our biggest strength between our facility with a 1,000-foot mountain and the fleet of over 100 prepared rally style vehicles, front all rear-wheel drive, high center of gravity. That's just and pretty much none of our competition are able to get you in every vehicle type on this vast of terrain. So that's the difference. T1G, they do have a lot more pavement than we do. Now we have Canaan, and we're trying to catch up on the pavement side of things. But we've heard good things from people that have gone to those courses, and we're definitely confident our course is up there as one of the best.
Yeah, I know some of the T1G guys. I've been down and worked at Panthera. I know a bunch of the BSR guys and a bunch of the other different sort of the tactical military school stuff is neat. Like if you're, in the State Department and you're traveling overseas, you need to drive in a convoy and you've never done that before, and you need some basic car control stuff, and you're in up armored Suburbans, and you got to roll through somewhere where you shouldn't be. Totally. Great course. But if you want to learn, ultimate car control in front wheel drive and all wheel drive and rear wheel drive and high center of gravity vehicles and, a bunch of other stuff. There's a reason that I'm here and not other places. And Chris knows, coming into 2024, we got a lot more stuff going on too, and with the racetrack, and there's kind of nothing that Team O'Neill can't do. So. Good question. And then how to become an instructor. Career at Team O'Neill is our email account, and always throw your resume in there, even if we're not hiring or looking to hire, because we start there first every time. So if you are interested in becoming an instructor someday, career at Team O'Neill, get exposure to us by volunteering at some of the events as well. Just going back to if we're out there in the community and we get to know somebody. Honestly, I think the last 2 or 3 hires that we've done were past customers that we started to get to know, and they just worked out well. And so it's something that just being around us and being in positions where you can meet us is a good way to potentially have an opportunity to get a job with us someday. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to be a people person. You have to be interested in what people are doing and helping people out. we used to say it's easier to teach a teacher to drive than teach a driver to teach. People think you need some driving resume and you got to be, I've been in this and that and the other thing. And it's like, have you ever taught anybody anything before? Where I know we've hired from, people who've done ski school before, or people who've, instructed things or have been teachers of different things in the past. If you're a teacher and you've got that mindset, you like helping people, we can teach you how to drive. Yeah. Versus if you're a driver, not that drivers are always selfish creatures, but often, it happens. And you're just looking to get more seat time and advance your skills, and you're going to be annoyed that you're in the car with somebody all day and getting spun out and running cones over. But being a teacher at a place like Team O'Neill, if you're looking at getting into rallying or racing, you kind of got to do your 10,000 hours and get a lot of that seat time. And get really good in front wheel drive and all wheel drive and rear wheel drive and all these different vehicles, to where if you tried to teach yourself this stuff out in the world, you'd need tons of different cars and a place to do it, and you'd be out there all day. It's one of the best ways to get into racing and motorsports and vehicle dynamics, and that can lead you into stunt driving. That can lead you into all different kinds of things in the future. Being an engineer, even, it's good to know all of these skills and left foot braking and traction control and all of that. So super valuable, definitely. Teaching a place like Team O'Neill, and more specifically at Team O'Neill, not Team OG. Rally. Oh, wait. Worried about how fun trucking, sand, or lithium suppression would be. It does sound like a game that is late to start. Plug and play being the dream. Seen it here first. Outstanding. Well, a little over my head. Yeah. Trucking, sand, or lithium suppression.
That's what he was talking about, how to deal with electric cars.
Oh, yeah. Sound like a game that's late to start. Plug and play being the dream. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Rally has exploded in northeastern U.S. Unfortunately, we've not seen this growth in eastern Canada, particularly in Ontario. What do you guys think is the biggest contributing factor to the growth?
That's interesting. It's funny. I had this like the last 24 hours. I was just thinking about this actually. And I don't have the answer, especially because the community in Canada seemed to be so on board with the sport, and they lost their primary TV package, which was, I think, how they got a lot of traction and got a lot of excitement. That there isn't a lot of top end talent racing in Canada. So, I mean, it's a regional event, club sport. It's all the guys that are out there, guys and girls going out there having fun with each other. And it's that Friday night club going to the bar mentality. So it doesn't really lend itself well to the larger community as a whole. And I don't know what the car culture is like in Canada right now. Obviously if it's a big shift to the EV thing, and the ICE motors are not exciting for the general community, that would probably be a big limiting factor in just your general excitement about wanting to go racing. So I'm not quite sure why the community is not that way. It's funny, Tim O'Neill and I were just talking about him doing more racing in Canada this next year, just because the way his Volkswagen Rally Golf set up, it's probably not going to actually be legal for American Rally. So we're looking at how we could fit it into a Canadian Rally spec. I don't have the answer on why, but I know there's some smart guys up there. The ones that I actually relied on to build ARA from, they taught me how to organize rallies and how a series should be run. So I'm sure they're working on it, and I'm sure that they would love to see more entries. So I would love to see more excitement for Northeast Canadian Rally.
Yeah, I got nothing on that. I mean, the Canadian rallies are awesome. I love Rally of the Tall Pines is probably my favorite rally in North America. There's, Baie de Chaleur, there's stuff in Quebec, there's Defy, Saint Agathe. Yeah. It's amazing. All the way over to, you guys have Targa, Newfoundland, and some other stuff that doesn't even count as, Canadian rally in general. But why aren't there as many competitors? I don't know. There should be.
Hopefully you're out there getting some more people excited for it.
Yeah. Jason Rudnicki. What? I scrolled. I'm sorry. Where am I? Here we go.
Just getting over a cough.
Sponsorships. What ranges of sponsorship money do you offer for smaller Northeast companies?
That's a good question. So we don't actually sponsor any drivers as part of just the culture of our business and the way the ROI and the return on investment in rally racing. It's something that for Team O'Neill specifically, we want to give opportunities for people, and if there's someone that we like to work with, maybe we'll work with them as part of like a package to come to the rally school or something as a sponsorship in trade. But we actually like this. So YouTube content, ways to generate educational content is what gets us excited. So, if someone pitched me that as with a racing package, maybe I'd be interested in a sponsorship deal like that. But a little bit back to most racers don't quite understand sponsorship, and a little bit of selfishness, and putting a sticker on a car is never good return on investment. There's an amazing book by Alex Striller that you can look up on how sponsorship works. It's the book I give to anyone that asks this question. If you come to Team O'Neill, I'll give you a copy. I have a bunch just because I bought 20 or 30 copies that I always give to anyone that asks, because he teaches you how to value sponsorship and what it's worth. And that's what most people don't understand is if I'm going to give you $100, I need you to give me back $500 worth of value. And you have to prove that to me. I don't need to prove it to you. So if I'm going to sponsor you in your race program, how are you going to get people to come to Team O'Neill, come be a student? And I honestly haven't seen a good proposal for that to this point. So hopefully someday, maybe that'll be you. But that's something that people need to learn about sponsorship and what's important. And honestly, a lot of the sponsors that you see on race cars are someone else knows, and a buddy and a friend, and like, hey, yeah, I'll throw you some money to go racing because they like you. So maybe you can work your network and try to do that as well. But I don't think I've ever seen a raw talent sponsorship other than maybe Travis Pastrana. And that was...
Yeah, that's... So out of, say there's 100 competitors that show up at New England Forest Rally, how many of them are breaking even on sponsorship? How many of them are making money?
That one, maybe. So no one's making money. Yeah. No one. And I mean, you could dive into Ken's book from the old days or something, maybe, but like... He said 10 years. Ken took 10 years to break even.
Yeah.
And he was doing, obviously, the massive level.
Millions and billions of views and Monster Energy and all the other stuff. Yeah.
Get rich and famous doing something else and then come spend your money on rally.
Yeah. Literally nobody. I remember when I was racing, trying to break even with sponsorship and just like fuel to tow and vehicles and things and a hotel room and stuff. And it was easier for me to just spend that time going to work and sticking the money in the bank and doing it that way than trying to chase and justify to Pirelli Tire why I should get tires as a new driver that nobody's heard of in a car that doesn't have a TV series. There isn't really any YouTube coverage. There's no eyeballs. There's no way to justify any of it. So yeah, somebody who's got a friend in a company that, I got a sticker on a car and, the Ogons group and
knowing people is the best way to get sponsorship, and just, shameless plug sometimes will help. But yeah, if you're thinking of how to actually get me to be excited about giving you legitimate sponsor dollars, 5-1. If you can prove to me that you can get me 5 times back of what I give you, then I would be willing to definitely have a serious conversation about it.
Yeah. If you can get groups to come to Team O'Neill, right. Whatever. Of course, I'm sure Chris is open to it. Yeah. Or another thing to think of too is look at motorsports. If motorsports is your career and you're like, I want to go racing. Tanner Faust is an example. Tanner started out rallying, loved rallying, rally guy through and through, but went drifting.
And then stunt driving, because that pays the bills.
Yeah. You can get paid, some extent, because if you can get up, work your way into Formula Drift, here in New Hampshire, Ryan Turk and Chris Forsberg and those guys, and drifting and some of this other stuff. And hey, once you get good at drifting, sure, you can maybe get into some movies or TV shows and slide some cop cars around and go the stunt driving route. I know buddies that have gone that direction and are doing all right with it. But yeah, you're trying to get somebody to pay to rally.
Yeah, and then if you're working a full-time job, then good luck getting the time off to go racing.
Yeah.
So be an entrepreneur, and that's honestly what Tim O'Neill, and why Tim did he was a mechanic, and he had his own shop. Was that part of the biggest reason he did that was so he could take the time off to go racing, right? He was making enough money being his own boss and being an entrepreneur, and he was a mechanic, so he could work on his own car, and then go racing. And that's how Tim did it. He just had his whole life was around paying to go racing, right? So he fully committed.
I remember when he was telling the story about when he went racing back in the day in Sweden or Finland, he took a loan out.
Yeah. He went to the bank and got a bank loan to go to Europe.
Convince some bank manager to, give him a
personal loan.
home equity loan or something. Yeah.
So I'm sure some sort of
business.
Equity.
Yeah. But you had to go racing in Europe. But yeah, that's how it was. But definitely, good luck. And there are ways, and just educate yourself the best you can. Get some marketing information.
Get the Striller book. I really recommend that.
Yeah. It's definitely possible. And please, good luck for sure with it. Any new headset AR technology that is on the rise and that you'd like to see more motorsports to assist a driver during stage hologram type maps?
Mm-hmm. I am not actually. So we've got Rally Safe in the cars, which is a pretty cool technology, which allows the cars to communicate from a safety perspective. If there's a car off in front of you in the rally, you will actually get information. So back when you were rallying, you guys didn't have any of that, which is way more confidence inspiring as a rally driver. But to my knowledge, I don't know of any like co-driver replacement tools or anything that's even trying to be developed right now, because I don't think anyone would be that interested in it. I'm sure some technology whiz guy would try something, but
yeah, I feel like the headset and the tech and that kind of stuff might work for like desert racing more easily, where you're sort of like roughly following a route, like the Dakar rally where you've got to follow the track, but it's within 100 feet or so and you're cruising the desert. Might be easier, where rally is very tight and technical, and there's
you need that
so much
note
information
in that millisecond, and that's what the co-driver needs to be able to
the road's as wide as this table sometimes, and there's 50 very specific corners within a mile or something like that. But I bet there are systems that are getting tested out in the desert, and as they get better, it's very interesting, super cool. But no, I've never seen.
Yeah, I guess GPS pinned.
Yeah,
like a code. I mean, it's possible.
There was a system that was. Oh, give me a minute and I'll remember. One of the retired NSW guys had a system called Earthmate or something that was doing that in the desert for desert racing, and it was doing pretty well.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah. May still be a thing. It's so tricky because all the way up here in New England, we're so out of touch with the Southwest and the desert racing community and all that stuff, and it's so awesome.
But yeah, you see WRC in the top end of our sport isn't. No one's talking about it at that level of racing, and we take a lot of our cues from that. I would think if there's anything that's viable on that type of technology, they're going to be playing with it. But yeah, we haven't had a chance to test it out.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. If it comes to me, I'll definitely shout it out here. When are we going to see Wyatt out on the stages? LSPR is always gorgeous. It is. Yeah. I don't know.
He's interested in rear-wheel drive in a BMW or something. We gotta get you a toy.
I would do it. I think, I would probably go rear-wheel drive, and I'd want to build something that was just very hard to drive, and just way too much power, and that would be interesting.
Yeah. It's not to be competitive. You're not going.
No. I have no interest in being competitive because, well,
And there's not much of
just for like a pure fun car. It was like, a full-on gravel drift car.
Yeah.
And just go slowly smoke around corners as sideways as I can and burn tires off. Would be a really good time. Yeah, love to. I was looking at, and anyone in New England should be aware of the New England Hill Climb series.
Yeah.
Because it's really interesting. It's, again, a group of, people that have been doing it for a lot of years. If you've seen the Mount Washington Hill Climb, or, it's like Pikes Peak on a slightly smaller scale, but then even smaller than that, the New England Hill Climb Association runs 7 events a year, and their hill climbs up ski mountains in the summertime. So it's Mount Philo and Ascutney, and it's one by Killington, or Philo is by Killington. There's a few of them around anyways. And yeah, it's like 7 hill climb races in New England that has no publicity and nobody's ever heard about it. But it's one of these little rogue series that if you had a rear wheel drive car that made excessive horsepower and just wanted to go blast around on the weekend, super good seat times, very affordable. There's street cars allowed.
Yeah, I think their safety is determined on your car's capacity for performance. So
there's a breakaway time. So if you're slow enough,
you can have less.
You can run in a street car, like with a helmet, as long as you're, once you break that certain speed, you need a roll cage, you need the seats and stuff. But you can totally show up in like a slower car is never going to beat that breakaway time. Yeah. And because it's uphill, it's good training because it's pretty safe. You're always going uphill. If you come in a little too hot, you can always brake and slow down pretty quickly. Something like a Miata, you're probably fine, and it's just ridiculous good fun for cheap. So yeah, back to the rear-wheel drive, impossible high horsepower fun vehicle. Hill climb car would be super good times. There's Life to Rally in MI.
Michigan.
Yeah, there's a ton of rally in Michigan. Michigan's a great one because it's so central.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems with racing.
It's the heart of one of the hearts of our sport for sure still. Yeah. There's still a lot of excitement but it's a pocket for sure.
Yeah. I remember when the Irishmen, this is a ton of Irishmen that live in Boston and New York, and they come over and buy rally cars and start rallying, and it's like from Ireland, which is, it's a beautiful little postage stamp of a country, to America, the problem is towing, to run the national championship, especially from New Hampshire. I remember doing it, and it's like Pennsylvania, Oregon, Washington, Michigan, Missouri. Michigan twice, Missouri, whatever. So you need to be able to take a ton of time off from work. I worked at a rally driving school, so that was okay. But just literally just towing cross country and diesel fuel and hotels or sleeping in the back of a van or whatever it is. It's just so much of your life, and money just goes away to the ether. And you get to see, hey, crossed I-90 and you stop at the truck stop. So it's a good slice of Americana if you've never been on a cross country trip, or a few of them. It's a good way to do it, but such a big country. What would be your best advice to a 17-year-old to get into rallying? I don't have daddy's money, but save lots and have an 06 STI and a Miata. What would be the cheapest route for me?
That's a good question. So, 17. So I think they finally changed the rules now, so you could actually rally before you're 18. Yeah. Team O'Neill's always going to tell you slow cars first. So a low horsepower front wheel drive car. Ultimately, I was like you. I had a 2000 Subaru at 17 years old, 2.5 RS, 2-door, blue, gold rims. Thought that was the way to start to become a rally driver.
You want to call him McRae.
And when I came to Team O'Neill and I realized the value of training in a front wheel drive car and the amount of feedback that car will give you on how bad a driver you are will make you so much better driver faster. So that is always our recommendation and suggestion to anyone looking to start in rally. If budget's a primary concern, which it should be for probably any 17-year-old without daddy's money, you're gonna have to be a volunteer. Come volunteer at a rally, see what it's about, get part of the culture, get to meet people, and that's where you find the deals. Some guy that is gonna sell his rally car is going to sell it to you first, because we like to work with people in the community. So you get to meet people, you get to learn about the sport. You got to come and volunteer at a rally. It would be my primary first recommendation for anyone in your position. Then after that, figure out the car platform that you want, and then get a qualified builder to build you the safety components and cage. So we always recommend anyone send their car to TRF in Michigan. They're the best that we know in the country that will build you a roll cage and get your minimum safety components, and they'll give you the car back like that if you want, and you can build it yourself to help save some money. But that's not an area that you want to skimp on, is that basic safety equipment. So, you're going to be 10 to 20 grand in safety equipment. So, just from if you don't even have that money in the bank yet, then, you got to be really starting from scratch. So just think about that. Yeah.
Where are used rally cars bought and sold these days?
Yeah. So North American Rally, there's a private Facebook group. That's the number one spot now to go. And that's a great place to just get an older Volkswagen. There's some Volkswagens out there, I think, right now that are for sale. This is kind of the time of year people are looking to sell their stuff. That's a way cheaper. You can pick up stuff for less than 10 grand, fully done car.
Yeah, like you could sell the Miata and maybe find a Mark II Golf with a roll cage in it. Yeah. And hey, it's logbooked. It means it's been through some rallies. It's been through tech inspection. It's a known entity with the organizer, so that when you show up at a race, it's got the paperwork that it needs. And download the rule book. It's right on Rally America or NASA or wherever you want to go rallying, and just check seats and seat belts and get your helmet and your suit and all that kind of stuff.
American Rally Association.
Yeah, ARA, American Rally Association. Read through that rule book kind of carefully. Take your time. It's
it's overwhelming.
It's dense, but dense for a reason. You can skip some of it, but the tech inspection stuff on the car specs, definitely read through. But the North American Rally for sale for trade Facebook group.
That's the number one spot.
The best classifieds for all things used rally car. And then SCCA Rallycross. If you just need some seat time, it's a great place to start. Sports Car Club of America, same people who run all different kinds of autocross and everything. Rallycross is a big open area with cones. It's basically an autocross in a field, in a gravel parking lot, whatever. And that is the best, cheap seat time, networking, learn your car,
pretty much
tune your car.
All the volunteers and people who help New England Forest Rally all do the Rallycross series as well. So that's a great way to get exposure.
Yeah, cannot go wrong. So that's, I'd say, probably, again, because a new roll cage and new seats and new everything is 10 to 20 grand just for that, once you have the car. So if you get a $10,000 car, and then you're going to be all of that on top of it, and then getting the paperwork done, and you've got a brand new car and it'll be beautiful. But personally, I grew up racing old Volkswagens, Mark II Volkswagen, GTI. You'll be fine. You're going to have to learn to work on it, but that's fine. That's part of the game. Skill Q says, any big hurdles for new performance drivers do you think keep them from progressing? Money excluded.
Humility, so in my experience.
Ego. Totally ego.
Yeah. Most of those guys that I've experienced, get a little bit of confidence in something, or think, I remember being 18 and thought knew what I was doing.
Oh yeah.
And so it just... understanding that you don't know anything, and being humble as fast as possible so that you can learn as quick as from there,
because it will get very expensive too. And it's rally drivers are notorious for it's the co-driver's fault, or the car wouldn't turn, or this and that and the other thing. And the Tim O'Neill, specifically Tim O'Neill, when I was younger, he said, great, you crashed the car. Now figure out all of the things that you effed up and really remember those, because that's the most valuable thing you can do, is look at the tracks and what could you have done differently, and were you looking in the right place, or was your tire flat, or whatever is going on. And take as many lessons out of this problem as you can so that they don't happen again. So take all of the responsibility for everything, even if it's not really yours. The co-driver called the wrong note. Well, why did you trust him? He's a new co-driver. You shouldn't be driving flat out with a new co-driver. That's your fault. Or hey, figure out a way to make it your fault. And take it to heart, and you'll learn much, much faster, obviously, just like with anything. Yeah. But for whatever reason, you need to sometimes have that crushed out of you. And if you haven't yet, you certainly will if you get in a rally.
There's some faster drivers that are rookie drivers, and it's a little bit of the ignorance of not knowing the danger that you're in, which is part of how racing's always been, right? So it's the younger, more ignorant people can be faster just because they're not really realizing what they're going through. And so there's a little bit of that in rally. We've seen some decently fast drivers, but there's no one that's winning a championship that's a brand new rookie. That everyone who is at the level of winning a championship is someone who has experience. So, just if you come into the sport, and pretty much any motorsport, having some humility and with the desire to learn, you're going to just get that much further faster in our experience.
Yeah, totally. And not saying that with all humility as well. It's just, it takes a lot of time and a lot of seat time, and a lot of mistakes are going to be made, and you're going to end up in the ditch a lot in the middle of the night trying to dig your car out with a snowshoe and whatever you got to do. And that's just how it is. When you meet the top guys, they're all very kind of humble and easygoing and friendly, and like they are in a lot of enduro racing on motorcycles and stuff like that. If they've made it to that top level, they've been through millions of nightmares and had all these problems and sorted them out and figured out how to make it all happen. And
I think what you said there was important though too. The mindset of a champion. You're out on Friday night in your car doing stuff. You're learning your car. You're being a mechanic. You can't be an accountant all day, Monday through Friday, and then go racing on Saturday and not thought about your race car at all and think you're going to be better than the guy that's sitting there playing the video games and working on his car. And there's just so much accessibility now for you to learn, YouTube and all these other things. If you're not doing as much of that as you can do, your competitor probably is, at least the ones at the top. So there's,
talent largely is a myth. A lot of the people that I know can beat me in rally cars right now, I know how hard they've worked and how many hours they've put in and how many races they've done, and they've stayed up and they're building their car and they're out there practicing at night in places they shouldn't be and doing stuff. And there's a lot that goes into it, and they put the hours in, and it's hard to do, and you're going to have to compromise other things in your life to make it happen. But the top guys, they've done the 10,000 hours kind of deal, Stalefish Ford has a rally trim of the Mach-E electric vehicle, and Hyundai just came out with the Iconic 5.
I should know that.
The scroll thing, I shouldn't touch this anymore. Iconic 5 EV with FIA roll cage and containment seat from the factory.
I haven't seen that.
Hyundai Iconic EV
with a roll cage
racer with an FIA roll cage and containment seat from the factory, but budget is the problem for now. How much is it? Comment with how much that vehicle costs. I'm curious.
That's interesting.
Good for them. As long as it's got the rally trim of the Mach-E. I saw a little bit, but I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently about the thing.
I got a chance to talk to David Higgins, who got a chance to drive one, and it's a bit of a marketing ploy. It's not going to be a rally ready vehicle, and there's no reason for it to be. But it's cool. It's cool that they're respecting rally and they see the value in the marketing, and that goes back to justifying an American WRC round in my mind, right? Like if an OEM manufacturer is willing to put a trim rally on their EV product to try to get more sales, I think that's cool. So I knew Hyundai, obviously before everything that happened with Ken, was really looking to do some marketing in this country, and I think all their plans shifted after everything that happened in January. So That'd be cool to see them get more involved in our country.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at, we were having a quick conversation before we started about the, nitro rallycross stuff. I mean, back in my day, it was GRC, Global Rallycross, and then it was Red Bull Rallycross or whatever. Yeah. And then,
Nitro now.
Nitro. And there's an electronic spec series in that.
Yeah, so I think the top series is now, the top part of it is all electric.
Yeah.
So, they get to do short enough stints, and there's like equivalent of 1,000 horsepower, I think, is what those things are in. So it's cool to see. And I think with the gravel, it makes them sound cooler, so I think that's a lot of the issue with electric is the sound.
Yeah.
So at least with the gravel sliding, and that has a little bit more of an acoustic.
What's the one that they do in the desert too that's all electric that I know they get blocked in for a minute, and Tanner Faust again was doing
Extreme E, I believe.
Extreme E in the desert. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a thing.
I don't know the marketing. The business case for that is interesting to me. I wonder who's paying the bill on that one.
Yeah, I don't know if the competitors are.
I don't know.
I don't know. They had some really bad suspension problems early on. I think they're fixed now, but for a long time you could watch it when the rear end bounced into anything. It was just like pogo, explode into the air, and the cars would all tumble, and they had really bad suspension early on. Are there any videos in the pipeline for the Trailcraft YouTube channel?
That's a good question. There's a whole pipeline for the Trailcraft branch of our business. And that's going to be actually more the summer fall timeline with everything we have going on with the Canaan. We're prioritizing a little bit of our asphalt tarmac content and really trying to push out our focus for the racetrack stuff. And then the goal is that by this summer, we're kind of relaunching the Trailcraft branch and going to have some content with that as well. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, and definitely it's something that I know Team O'Neill has from being around one of the best probably off-road training areas, like as far as just the trails and infrastructure that exists at Team O'Neill from doing it with the military for so long. In New England on the East Coast, I mean, how many acres is it?
Yeah, 700.
So roughly 700 acres, and there's old logging roads and trails that have been built specifically for off-roading, and a lot of them are just a huge network of super fun playtime. So especially if you're part of a group, or if you know some people that are interested in doing some off-roading, email him.
And that's a bit of the problem. We do have a government side of our business, and that sucks up we got a lot of business for that. And so we're just been focusing on fulfilling those needs. And so we kind of had to slow down a little bit of our off-roading retail side of our business, the Trailcraft branch. So, but the goal is to get that back up this summer.
Yeah. Chuck 3 says BMW E36/E46. That's probably in reference to the question about getting started out or learning how to drive a manual or whatever. I mean, the older BMW 3 Series stuff, E36 and E46 is great. I mean, electronic problems, your window regulator is going to fry and your sunroof will stop working and your heater motor will catch on fire. But as a platform for actual rallycross, rally, drifting track days,
it's a good utility tool.
It's hard to beat. Yeah, for sure.
And retain its value.
Bob Sanders says, I tried practicing pendulum turns in my rally car with rally tires. I couldn't get the car to turn, probably because the tires had too much grip. Would it be better to put road tires on and try that?
Yeah, so a bit of the kind of mindset at Team O'Neill is that we actually keep you on snow tires because we want lower grip so you can do a maneuver. With gravel tires, and that's Bob Sanders, your Subaru, that's a lot of grip that you got to overcome to get that pendulum to actually work. And that's a lot higher speed on a gravel road that I would be comfortable to initiate a pendulum turn.
Yeah, it's purely a question of momentum. I mean, you can do it on snow at 20 miles an hour. You can do it on gravel at 30 or 40 miles an hour. If you've got gravel tires and a grippy road, you're just starting off at 60 miles an hour or something. Because you've got that much grip, with part of the pavement stuff or the racetrack stuff that we've been doing. It's like, can you do a pendulum on maybe? Yeah, it's not faster, but like you just need like a lot of speed and roll the dice. But hopefully, you know, that's why our methodology is always to take the grip away. And you would practice it on snow and ice. If you can do it at 20 miles an hour in the snow, and you do it at 30, 40 miles an hour on the gravel, and then you just keep adding, you know, grip and speed go up at the same rate, if that makes sense.
I think I'm 9 rallies into my rally career, and I think I've only used a pendulum turn maybe 2 or 3 times in a front-wheel drive Ford Fiesta, which we train at the rally school. But in the real world,
were they intentional or
downhill hairpin, like it was like the perfect setup for a pendulum turn because the momentum was right and the speed was right. But other than that, I would not use a pendulum for the most part in real world rally at this point.
Yeah, unless it's like left 4 into right 2, where you're kind of naturally like, braking in the left as I make the right or whatever.
It's nice when you release the brake and you can feel the weight transfer and you're like, and you're already set up for the next corner. Yeah. That's when the pendulum makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, the only question is more speed, or the only answer is more speed.
You could, less grip tires on slippery surface.
Practice with less grip. Yeah, put street tires on and do it and get good at it. Audio Advisory 38 says, just watch the PBS Frontline on the 2022 U.S. War Leaks with the kid and how the Air Force will just black truck your boots. You don't have to need to read this. Okay. Interesting. We're going to end up on a list by the end of this video.
Yeah, sweet.
How many different rally cars does Tim have in his stable now? The rally golf is super cool, and I hope Tim can work out all the kinks and get it to run reliably.
I think 6.
6 legal rally cars.
Running legal? I think only 4 of them are running.
What's he doing with the Quattro?
So the Quattro's one of the next ones up.
Not to give away any secrets.
He's had this car forever.
Yeah, it's been around for decades.
I think we've done a few videos actually on it too. So the Quattro, the rally golf, he's got an AMX, the 69, and then he's building a 70 right now. Okay. He's got the Gallant, and he's actually got another Gallant. So he's trying to have one hand control more for
the handicap Gallant.
And then the competitive. The current version of the Gallant is the 6-speed manual or the sequential manual. And then he's got the BMW E30 or E318.
Have you done just like a tour of Timland video?
Yeah, we should do that.
We should go over.
He built another garage because he needed to.
Timland is just growing.
And that's part of, I bought the rally school from Tim, or him and I partnered, and so his retirement now has been to just multiply his personal fleet of rally cars.
Timland is a good place, but we should do a tour of the whole all-encompassing Timland.
Yeah, that's good. We should do that.
How do you use the handbrake to get out of a tight parking spot in a front-wheel drive car? So, I mean, if you're stopped, like the vehicle is parked, you can pull the handbrake. Will basically just be brakes on your rear wheels, and then say you put it in reverse and give it the gas, it's going to go and sort of do like a J-turn at 0 miles an hour.
Yeah,
I think is what you mean. In a front wheel drive car, you can do that. Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, if it's snowy or slippery or you've got a ton of horsepower or whatever it is, that should work. Yeah, hold the handbrake to keep the brakes on the rear wheels and then spin the front tires. To get
in a low horsepower manual, you're going to burn your clutch up.
Definitely. If you're on pavement in a stock car, you could burn the clutch or something. But if you're in snow or whatever,
slippery.
Yeah. Salute Wyatt. Nice. How do you rally, Mad Max? How do you rally a completely stock car without putting too much stress on it? You don't. But it's a good question. I've done some spirited driving in an 09 Impreza, and I'm worried to push it any further than I already have.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of a bit of the problem of anything since the 1980s, what Tim would say. They used to overbuild cars because they wanted them to last, but the newer model cars are not necessarily built with rally in mind, and especially rally is gravel being kicked up on your undercarriage, and just the whole concept of being on loose surface is not what your car was designed to do. So,
the 09 Impreza, the hatchback, yeah. So the problem with the 09s, like the mid-2000 Subarus are really good. because they're McPherson struts front and rear with normal control arms. When they made, what year did they switch to the? 08. So in 08, to get more trunk space and do the hatchback thing and everything else, they gave it really wimpy rear suspension. And I remember the engineers at Vermont Sports Car, who's Subaru Team USA, when they switched to that platform, they were breaking a lot of stuff, and they did a ton of R&D, and they spent tons of money and figured it all out. So look at, like, Google image search Subaru Team US 2009 rear suspension links and things like that. But that, as far as I know, is the weakest link on like a 09 Subaru Impreza, and that generation of Subaru is the rear suspension is small.
It's not built to really have all of this movement, and also if you're on jumps or any sort of, the car is not very stable with that setup. So have fun, be safe, but realistically, I think, understand that you are putting your car in a dangerous situation, and it really isn't built for it at this point.
Yeah, one of the nice things, Subaru is a good way to go because it is all-wheel drive. There's a lot of parts. There's a huge amount of aftermarket support. But somebody is probably going to call me out for being wrong, but I know for a lot of years at least, I can get away with saying that, the fuel lines and the brake lines run inside the car. Where a lot of cars that are like right down the bottom where you're going to scrape them off and lose your brakes or have a fuel leak or something like that. Subaru, in general, everything's kind of high and tight and fairly well protected, and the boxer engine thing does work, and really good. I think on that rear suspension and easy.
You should go to a rallycross. Look, and the guys that are out there will tell you what you need to do to your car to do a rallycross. And if you do that, I think you could be just more confident driving on a dirt road, having some fun. And that should be a fairly low price point, especially compared to a real built rally car. But a basic skid plate, some mud flaps, whatever someone would do for a rallycross car would be enough, I think, to help your confidence. And
the number one answer always is go out on the snow and ice. Because if you can go out on a frozen lake, if you're out on winter in Vermont on some snowy roads, you're not wearing out your tires, you're not stressing tie rod ends and ball joints and bushings and control arms and shocks and struts and all this stuff. The roads are smooth and you're just sliding around and it's all pretty happy. You'll get so much more life out of your car on snow and ice versus on gravel. It's just abrasive and horrendous, and you get sand and grit into everything, and your brakes and all of it just wears out quickly. So get as much seat time as you can on snow and ice, both for yourself and because the car will just last a ton longer. Audio advisor, putting stickers on the car, no investment. I love it. Yeah, I remember even when I was racing, I was telling him the story. Like you need to send out 100 pitches, you'll get 10 replies. So 90% of people aren't even going to reply to you. And of the 10% that do reply to you, maybe there's a few people that will send you something. And back then, Alpine Stars. And I love Alpine Stars. You guys are great. Because when I was a pretty new guy and I was like, oh, I'm going to go do some, the national championship, for me was a huge deal. And Alpine Stars got back to me, and this guy, Chris, was like, oh, what do you need? And I was like,
wasn't ready for that.
I don't know. He's like, I can't offer you any money, but product support and whatever. And they emailed me this big duffel bag there was shorts and t-shirts and stickers, and I got a deal on a race suit, a discount on a Nomex race suit, a new race suit, which was awesome, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I slapped Alpine Stars over everything they ever wanted. They got, but yeah, no, they never paid me a dime. So yeah. Could you give us your best on-the-spot dad advice? He's the dad. Best on-the-spot dad advice. Oh, boy.
I don't have any driving children yet. So that, it's got, for me, it's always about humility. Ultimately,
there's a trend here.
That if someone wants to learn something, I try to teach my kids that too, right? You should go out and screw up, right? Go out at night, do some sketchy stuff every once in a while. That's what life's all about. I don't want any one of my kids or people I interact with to pretend like the world's a bubble. So you do have to kind of push the limit. You have to pursue your dreams, but ultimately doing all that stuff with a bit of humility and with the goal of learning and owning your mistakes, you're just going to get so much further faster in life. And that would be my number one dad advice.
Yeah. I'm not a dad, but yeah, I'd say just from watching a lot of people go through, especially racing, especially rally and off-road and stuff, there's a time and a place to have a few beers,
right?
And it's not, off-road driving and rally cars and all of that stuff, and, really separate what you do in your spare time versus if this is something you're taking seriously. Everyone I know that's succeeded has, kept that part of their life, if it exists, separate. And hey, we're out here and we're doing this, and you're on point and you're doing your thing. And, hey, when you're done, or you go home, or you go out to the pub later and hang out with your buddies, but never the two shall mix.
It's good. That's good.
I see a lot of people blow a lot of stuff, and I see a lot of people do really well. And that's enough said. Hey, Run says, hey, Team O'Neill, just wanted to say thank you for sharing all the driving techniques. I've learned so many tricks to drive on snowy and loose gravel roads.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's awesome. We're having a good time doing it. Aaron says, hey, Team O'Neill, longtime fan. Thank you for the Q&A. I was curious, how do individuals get into being a co-driver? And is the co-driving route a cheaper alternative to getting into the rally experience?
No doubt.
Yeah, co-driver. If you want to drive a rally car, you need a rally car and a tow vehicle, and you're usually paying all the bills. Yep. And if you want to co-drive, you need a race suit and a helmet and a notebook and some. And
if you're willing to pay to get yourself to a rally, then you're gonna get a ride.
They will be fighting to have you in the car. Yeah.
So that's something that is a great way to start. Great way to get a ton of experience. My co-driver, Glenn Ray, right now, he wants to be a driver, and he knows he needs some more experience and honestly the money to be able to build his own actual team someday. So he's taken this very seriously. He's a great co-driver, but that's, he is doing that with this intent. So yes, definitely a great way to get experience and get ready. Another thing, we did start a Team O'Neill co-driver school. So we've got that as well. So if you're brand new, we've got some dates available. So I would definitely recommend looking at coming out to the school. That's going to save a ton of effort for you, getting a little bit of advanced training and get ready to actually go to your first rally.
Yeah, I mean, just a wholehearted yes. It's a ton of fun. The co-driver tips for new co-drivers. Obviously Dramamine, or there's what's the patch that a lot of them have?
It starts with an S, and I always forget it.
You can get it over the counter in Canada, but I think in America you need a prescription. But it's just a motion sickness thing. It's nothing. You can tell your doctor.
It's the patch.
Some people
that's what every professional co-driver uses, the patch.
Yeah, you'll see the top 20 co-drivers at a rally. I'll have this looks like a little round nicotine patch behind their ear.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just good motion sickness medication, because that's the only thing with getting into co-driving. You gotta have a strong stomach for sure. Chris Ramos says, have you ever done a F-150 Raptor up on the trails?
Yeah, we did. We did a whole group of them that one time.
Yeah, we did like 8 of them or something.
Yeah. We should love to get more.
Yeah, they're awesome. F-150 Raptors, a lot like your Bronco Raptors, just kind of a big rig.
Yeah.
Being in New England, up here in New Hampshire, the trails are kind of, especially for off-roading, the trails are a little tight versus out west where you're out in the desert and you're doing stuff. A lot of people have full-size rigs and this and that. But yeah, F-150 Raptors are great.
Probably have time for one more.
Time for one more. Okay, well, let's see. We've got a lot more than one more, but good evening from Germany. Can you just drop in and drive for Team O'Neill? Have you ever done F-150? You got there. Oh, yeah. Grassroots rally isn't that much different. What is the best way to learn how to drive a standard if I have an automatic? Ask him. He's going to do CCA Rallycross. Great entry to the rally community. P. Jones, yeah, totally. Sim has made me more confident driver. It's really impressive what a little money and some hours can do. Sim stuff. You've spent some time.
Yeah, Sim is still, it's worth the effort, no doubt, for the price of what the experience that you get. The problem still is going to be in the loose surface understanding of your vehicle. You know, this new rally game that just came out, the EA WRC game, the best one on the market, but the problem's still for like a higher end rally sim or the equipment simulator. If it has motion, it's still not getting the data it needs to like be like iRacing. iRacing is the closest thing to real racing. You know, the data that's coming out of that system for the full motion simulators it makes it almost like you're driving a real car. So there's still not a software package that's good enough like iRacing for rally, but there's no doubt you could get pretty confident driver just by playing a video game.
Yeah, and it's the software and then the hardware.
Well, yeah, pairing the software with the hardware.
Because the software can be good, but if you're, running the little plastic steering wheel and the pedals and driving it, it's just not, and the full motion stuff, as you know, gets wildly expensive to do it right. Any tips for going fast on everyday roads? Tips for skillful driving in general?
That's a good one for you.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a bunch of videos about it. The biggest thing, as we at Team O'Neill always say, and I'm sure everybody else probably these days and age, where you're looking is a huge part of the battle. Like, if you're going to have any chance of doing a good job, you need to be looking in the right places. And having other hobbies where you have to do that is a huge advantage as well. So if you're riding mountain bikes or doing all this stuff, it's no accident that Travis Pastrana, who's the world's most successful motocross guy, got good at driving rally cars, and Brandon Semenuk, professional mountain biker, got good at rally cars, and we've had Ski Team US has come out, and guess what? They get pretty good pretty quick because it's just hand-eye coordination. I want to go over there. Oh, how do I do it? Oh, no, I got to go over there, and not looking at the phone poles and not looking at the alligators and the cats and dogs and everything, and just kind of figuring out where you want to go. Going fast on everyday roads. Pick your times and your places is all I can really say about it. Yeah, I mean, that's northern New England. I can creep over into Vermont or Maine and be many, many miles from anybody out in the middle of the forest. And, if you're doing it on way off hours when nobody else is out there and you've got lights and that kind of thing, that's kind of the old days of how people would practice with rally cars. And street cars, and that's it. Driving fast on public roads during the daytime is only going to get you tickets and trouble and pissed off neighbors and crashes, and
it kind of ruins a bit of if people get angry at enough people that are not following the rules, then it ruins it for everyone. But
I'm cramming one last one. Right. Opinion on driving winter tires, driving an all-wheel drive car without winter tires. I've been doing this for years, but some people say it's unacceptable.
It's not unacceptable. And there's, if you're in a community that keeps salting your roads and you're not on ice constantly, then there's actually not necessarily a good reason that you should buy a whole new set of snow tires if that's what your drive is. But here in our rural community, half of my drive is on a protected wetlands area that does not get salt. So the roads are icy and snowy. And in those cases, that's when the difference of having a snow tire. And honestly, too, it's the 10%, right? Like you are buying that tool for,
Yeah. Even here in northern New England, there's really only a handful of days where you're like, damn, I'm glad I got these tires. And a big part of that, too, is because we're in the mountains.
Yeah.
If it were flat even, it'd be like, okay, whatever. But now it's like you got to go down. Just the little hill coming into town here is like I've gone for some bad rides down that hill with all-season tires and other, different things. And, just being able to stop quickly if somebody pulls out of their driveway or whatever it is, having the grip to stop fast and to travel up and down these little mountain roads is pretty essential for us. But if you're not on steep roads all the time that aren't maintained and in the backwoods, and especially if you're driving, you get plenty of time to drive around, you can get away without them. Yeah. And a lot of the all-weather tires are pretty good now. Nokian makes them really good ones. I forget exactly what they're called, the Nokian Q something. They're pretty darn good on snow.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
Well, thank you guys so much. And if you have more comments, we'll try to get in the comment section later and answer questions, or even do like some one-on-one videos. If you guys like this format, please let us know so that we could do this some more. I think we enjoy it, so we're probably looking at doing this some more. So we'd love your feedback on this and what you guys liked and would like to see different maybe. So yeah, hopefully we'll catch you guys next time. Please keep the comments coming. It's the way we keep doing videos. The number one piece of feedback from the last Willet Rally was they wanted a 4Runner, and so we found one. So whatever you guys want to see us try to do, we'll do whatever we can to make it happen. So your feedback's really important.
Yeah, thanks. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the goal here, is just to get out good info and help out people. And hopefully we see you up here, but at least, hey, if you live on the other side of the world, yeah, we'll do what we can from here. So thanks.
All right, guys. Good night.